in war with Russia through weapons and threats to Moscow. In a major shift toward Ukraine, Trump announces a plan to send weapons, including Patriot systems, and threatens 100% tariffs if Russia doesn't reach a deal soon. Tyrone Bowman live. According to the Washington Post, weighing in on Kyiv's side of its war with Russia more forcefully than at any time since he reclaimed the White House, President Donald Trump said Monday that he would help Ukraine obtain advanced U.S.-made weaponry and threat tariffs against Moscow and its trading partners if the war is still raging in 50 days. The announcements came after Trump repeatedly expressed frustration with Russian President Vladimir Putin's continued bombardment of Ukraine. Until Monday, Trump had largely held back from opening the U.S. arsenal for Ukraine, avoiding putting his fingerprint on a conflict that he often said was, quote, Biden's war, end quote. Although he said again Monday that this is not Trump's war, the plans he unveiled amounted to a significant U.S. effort to bolster Ukraine's military and impose tough economic consequences on Russia if Putin doesn't soon halt the conflict. The efforts would build on and go beyond those by President Joe Biden and would effectively back Ukraine in the war. The plan, however, would shift how the United States helps Ukraine. Under former President Biden, Washington mostly donated weaponry to Kyiv directly. Trump will require Europeans to pay for it. The new weapons will include Patriot air defense systems, which Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has long sought, saying they are key to protecting cities and other major targets. The U.S. planned regions European countries sending weaponry, including the Patriots, to Ukraine out of their current stocks, so the weapons could be used immediately. Trump said Germany and Norway will each send at least one battery, officials said. Those countries would then purchase replacements from the U.S. defense industry. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, visiting the White House on Monday, told reporters that the deal also involved missiles and ammunition. Without specifying what else would be purchased and supplied, Ukraine's U.S. and European backers have rushed to bolster their production capacity of air defense interceptions and 155 millimeter artillery shells. There's a very big deal we've made. This is billions of dollars worth of military equipment, which is going to be purchased from the United States, going to NATO, etc., and that's going to be quickly distributed to the battlefield. Quote, close quote, the president said Monday in the Oval Office, speaking alongside Rutte, who will also oversee a NATO-wide purchasing effort of U.S.-made weaponry for Ukraine. In his remarks, Trump offered far more sympathy toward Ukrainians than he has at other moments of his presidency, noting that most Ukrainian civilians have remained in their home cities, even as apartment blocks have come under fire under Russian missile attacks. It's incredible. They remain even knowing a missile could hit their apartment and bring it down on them, Trump said. Say what you want about Ukraine. When the war started, they had no chance, he added. They fought with tremendous courage, and they continued to fight with tremendous courage. And he had harsh words for Putin, saying at one point, quote, I don't want to say he's an assassin, but he's a tough guy, end quote. The decision to sell arms came just weeks after the Pentagon briefly paused military aid for Ukraine, one of several policy swerves in the administration's approach to conflicts since Trump came into office in January, vowing to end the war in one day. The new stance was met with relief in Kyiv, which has been buffeted by the back and forth from Washington in recent weeks as Russia has increased daily aerial attacks. Trump's Ukraine envoy, retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, visited Ukraine on Monday for meetings with top leaders, giving a bear hug to Zelensky's chief of staff upon arriving in the capital's central train station. Later in the day, Zelensky said he had spoken to Trump by telephone. Quote, thank you for the willingness to support Ukraine and to continue working together to stop the killings and establish a lasting and just peace, end quote, Zelensky posted on X. Thank you Mr. President, thank you, America, he wrote. Zelensky has long sought more Patriot systems for Ukraine's defense. The Biden administration said several, but ultimately stopped after the Pentagon said offering more would lower U.S. military readiness beyond acceptable levels. Germany will send Patriot air defense batteries to Ukraine as it purchases replacements from the United States. A senior White House official said after the meeting, speaking on the condition of anonymity, to talk frankly about internal discussions. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius is in Washington and met Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on Monday. Zelensky said this weekend that Norway will also send a battery. U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matthew G. Whitaker will work out some of the details with allies in Brussels, Trump said. Rutte said Finland, Denmark, Sweden, the Netherlands, and Canada also intend to take part in the first wave of weapon purchases, with more countries to come soon. It will mean that Ukraine can get its hands on really massive numbers of military equipment, both for air defense but also missiles, ammunition, Rutte said. Trump's shift drew praise in Europe, where German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said on X that President Trump today took an important initiative. The United States will provide Ukraine with weapons on a large scale if its European partners finance it, quote, close quote. In addition to weapons, Trump vowed to levy secondary tariffs of 100% against Russia if a peace deal is not reached within 50 days. The White House official said the plan is expected to be a 100% tax on the import of Russian goods, along with secondary 100% tariffs on countries that buy Russian oil, gas, and other energy products. Congress has been working on legislation that would enable Trump to impose steep sanctions against buyers of Russian energy. Trump expressed frustration about his repeated phone calls with his Russian counterpart. I speak to Putin a lot about getting this thing done, Trump said. And I always hang up and say, well, that was a nice phone call. And then missiles launched into Kyiv or some other city. After that happens 3 or 4 times, you say the talk doesn't mean anything. Last week, Russia launched more than 1,800 drones, 1,200 Clyde bombs, and 83 missiles at Ukraine, Zelensky said this past Sunday. Trump said he had spoken to his wife, Melania, about the contrast, offering a rare window into the way the First Lady may have influenced his thinking on a foreign policy question. One night he said, I'll go home. I tell the First Lady, and I spoke with Vladimir today. We had a wonderful conversation. She said, oh, really? Another city was just hit. At a certain point, ultimately, talk doesn't talk. It's got to be action. It's got to be results. Well, I'm going to leave the article right there. Okay, let's go to the comment section real quick. Nameless prophet. The fact Captain America's metabolism is 4 times faster than the average man implied. It takes football-sized caps. Alex, yay Trump and Russia. All right, y'all, I'm out of here. Never surrender, never quit.